Top Gun Maverick truly revitalized one of the most beloved action films of the 80s. Notable for its impressive stunt work and how well it honored its source material, Maverick was both a critical and commercial success. There was, however, very nearly some tragedy surrounding the film, as one of the film's stars revealed they very nearly met a tragic demise while the film was in production. Keep watching to hear this crazy story. Also, in this video, we'll cover the possibility of a third Top Gun film and the very early career of one of the film's stars, Miles Teller. Specifically, 3 short films have been unearthed from the actor's teenage years, which we'll discuss in detail. Stick to the end of the video to find out about the actor's earliest performances. First, who was it that nearly died while filming Maverick, and which other star would have been responsible for it? Top Gun Maverick had a very impressive cast, and it obviously would have been tragic if any one of the actors in the film passed away before its release. The film focused largely on Tom Cruise's reprisal of his famous role as Maverick and his character's evolution from the first film. The movie would also introduce some new characters who have already endeared themselves to fans. This includes the son of Goose Bradshaw from the original Top Gun, sporting a similarly avian name called Rooster. Rooster was portrayed by Miles Teller, whose early acting career we'll be getting into later in this video. Also introduced in the film was Hangman, played by Glen Powell, who would serve as the true successor to Cruise's Maverick. So out of the core cast, who was it that nearly met their maker, and which other actor would have been responsible for it? It turns out that Glen Powell was mere moments away from a fatal accident during the movie's filming. Believe it or not, some of the blame would have been placed on Tom Cruise himself had things gone worse than they luckily did. The question still stands: what was the accident that nearly led to Glen Powell's untimely death, and why would Tom Cruise have been implicated? How did Tom Cruise nearly kill Glen Powell? Now, when you hear that someone nearly died while filming Maverick, you've probably assumed that the rigorous stunt work in the film was the culprit. This would make sense considering everything that went into the movie. The film was praised for lacking CGI, with almost all of the action sequences being filmed using actual jets flying. This gave the film an exhilarating feeling, capturing the thrill of flying at top speeds in a fighter jet. All the primary actors went through genuine training, so they all knew how to fly the aircraft their characters were in control of. So the accident must have occurred at some point in this training, right? As it turns out, Powell would nearly die in a completely unrelated situation. The accident would occur during Powell's free time while the actors were in London doing some reshoots for the film. He would share the story on a recent appearance on Jimmy Fallon. He explained that he had always wanted to go skydiving and saw his time in London as the perfect opportunity. While he had made plans several weeks earlier, he backed out because of fears involving the weather. This led to his co-star Tom Cruise teasing him for not wanting to go through with it. When Powell returned to give it another go, he found out that Cruise had contacted the skydiving company and insisted that Glen jump solo for his first time. Glen, being the good sport he is, decided to go through with it and jump out of the plane alone without a guide to help him. He explained that as he fell, he began to panic because he couldn't find his parachute tab. He explained that his first thought when he realized this was, "Oh, Tom just killed me. He's gonna feel so bad." Luckily, he would go on to say that he found the tab and, despite pulling it far too late, still made a safe landing. It appears like this showed Tom Cruise's daredevil spirit rubbing off on his young co-star. Keep watching to discover why encouraging someone to go solo skydiving is an incredibly on-brand move for the Maverick star. Next, here's why this is incredibly on-brand for Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise encouraging one of his co-stars to jump out of a plane solo has got to be one of the most on-brand moves possible for the middle-aged action star. In recent years, he's begun to define himself by the insane risks he is willing to take when making a movie. It seems with every film he participates in, he ups the ante on the crazy stunts he performs. This is most obvious in the star's Mission Impossible performances. Some of the most ridiculous stunts he's pulled off in that franchise include climbing the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and hanging off the side of an actual plane going full speed. The actor has also skydived in these films, which may have partly motivated Powell to try such a dangerous activity. With Hangman being Maverick's protege in Top Gun, it's interesting to see how the real-life actors are also influencing each other. So will we see Cruise and Powell share the screen as Maverick and Hangman again soon? So, with the success of Maverick, will there be a Top Gun 3? It took producers quite a long time to get a sequel to Top Gun. Now that it's clear there is a high demand for the franchise, will we see the third movie in the franchise before long? Maverick ended with the potential for a third movie, and with a bright young cast ready to run with the franchise, there could certainly be many more Top Gun movies to come, even without Tom Cruise. With that being said, Cruise is the heart and soul of the series, so the movies wouldn't feel the same without him. As he is in the latter half of his career, producers will likely want to get going on another movie, so Cruise can still be somewhat in his prime while filming. Currently, there are no definitive plans for a Top Gun 3. Considering how well Maverick performed, don't be surprised if it gets announced sooner rather than later. One of the biggest stars of Maverick was Miles Teller, and believe it or not, he wasn't always the big-time star we know today. today. Several short films from the actor's teenage years have been unearthed, showing that every great actor starts somewhere. What are these movies about? Keep watching to find out. Moving on, the first short film starring a teenage Miles Teller we're covering is called Moonlighters. First up, and the youngest on-screen appearance of Miles Teller, takes place in a short film called Moonlighters. The film was written and directed by Jesse Newman, who was actually at the helm for all three of the short films we're covering today. Moonlighters tells the story of a group of high schoolers plotting an elaborate and dangerous heist. Things inevitably go wrong, and the group pays the price for their actions. It's amazing to see just how young Teller looks in this film, and the coolest thing about watching them all is seeing the young actor grow up right before your eyes. Next, the second Miles Teller short film is called A Very Specific Recipe. Next up, we'll jump forward a few years with A Very Specific Recipe. This was Jesse Newman's entry into his college's 48-hour film challenge. This rough-around-the-edges short film tells the story of a toxic relationship falling apart. It shows a slightly older Teller in a more emotionally complex role, and this is likely the first time his potential as a genuine big-time actor was undeniably apparent. The short film is undeniably charming, if not a bit sloppy, but considering it was made in only 2 days, who could ask for more? Finally, Miles Teller's guest role in a film simply called Sean. Finally, we have a film called Sean. This is the only film on our list which doesn't feature Teller in a starring role. It follows a young boy with terrible social skills trying to find his way in the world until he ends up on a violent path. Teller has a very minor role in this film, but he steals the show, making it clear that he's destined to become a fantastic actor. Films like this are such a cool way to see actors finding their footing and truly becoming the people we know them as today. Although he was a long way from the hero we see in Maverick, it was clear from day one that Miles Teller would eventually see his name in lights. Are you hoping for a Top Gun 3? Were you a big fan of Maverick? How about the original Top Gun? What do you think will happen in the possible third installment? And what do you think of Miles Teller's short films? Have you checked them out for yourself? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.